Hi everybody, Gordon Hollings here again. And now as the winter has arrived here in Sweden, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about winter driving. And I have noticed that a lot of the new drivers doesn't get taught enough in the driving school about driving in the snow and the winter. And that is not to put any blame on the teachers, because I know for a fact that they are doing as much and as best as they can with the resources and the time that they have. So I feel that it's our responsibility as experienced driver to help our new colleagues to get as safe and best drivers as possible now during the winter times, because it's going to be a whole different kind of work during the winters. So after this video, please help in the comment section to put all your advice and all your tips on how to drive in slippery and snowy weather. And today I'm going to talk about mostly the basics of driving in the winter and some extra tips, but feel free to pitch in as much as possible. So let's start. So the first and most important thing, in my opinion, is going to be weight distribution. If you, like in this case, have a truck and a trailer, you don't want to have cargo on the trailer and an empty truck. You want to have weight on the truck as much as possible compared to the trailer, because the trailer is going to push on the truck, and if the truck doesn't have any weight on it, the trailer might end up jackknifing the truck. So try to keep the truck as heavy as possible compared to the trailer. And so for the truck itself, we are going to want to have pressure on the drive axle to not get stuck, but we also want to have pressure on the steering axle, because if we load too much in the back and just focusing on the pressure on the drive axle, the truck will lift, and that might end up getting the truck to lose control on the steering axle. So we're gonna want to keep the load distribution as even as possible over on the truck. So for today's example, I have stacks of empty pallets, and I also have a couple of heavy pallets. So if this were to be in the summer, I would do it easier for myself. I will put the empty pallets in the front and the heavy pallets in the back. But now I don't want to do that. I'm going to split the empty pallets and the heavy pallets evenly over the trucks. I will get equal pressure or equal distribution over the front and the drive axle. And now we're going to talk about going downhill, and we're going to combine a couple of points in this one. And as you can see, it's both snow and ice on the road. And the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure I don't have any help brakes engaged, no engine brake and no retarder, because we don't want the truck to be braking first and the trailer pushing on the truck, because that might cause us to jackknife. And I want to make sure to have a low speed already as I'm approaching the slope. The speed limit here is 80, but I'm going between 60 and 65. Partly because the condition doesn't allow me to go that much faster, but also because I don't want to end up going too fast as it gets steeper and the truck starts picking up speed. And I'm going to pushing the brakes quite gently so that we don't lose traction. And I'm going to push the brakes for a couple of seconds. Then I'm going to release them again to let the brakes cool down, because we definitely don't want the brakes to overheat, forcing us to roll down without brakes, picking up speed, and then gonna forcing us to press the brakes too hard. So make sure to approach the downhill with respect and be prepared. So next one is going to be no cruise control, and this applies even for the highway, because when we are on the highway and if the road turns just a little bit and it's very slippery, the drive axle might actually want to pull us into a skid and jackknife us. I've been very close to doing that once when I was a new driver. I was on the highway, the road turned just a little bit, and I feel the truck starting to go into a jackknife, and luckily I was quick to hit the off button on the steering wheel for the cruise control and not hit the brake. And that's the other point of this, is your gut reaction might be to just hit the brakes, but if we already on our way to go into a jackknife, if we hit the brake, that could actually potentially make it worse and pull it into a jackknife. So this can even happen if you're just going straight, and this happened to me as well. You're going straight down the highway and the trailer starts to skid out. You see it in the mirror, it starts to step out of you, and your reaction might want to be to hit the brake to disengage the cruise control. And if the trailer is already stepping out, if you hit the brake, it might skid even more. So in that situation, you want to hit the accelerator and pull yourself straight. And so your gut reaction might actually be to push the foot brake to disengage the cruise control and not push the button on the steering wheel. And that's the gut reaction, and it's a stressed situation in like a millisecond, and you're just gonna push the brakes and it will skid out. So it's better to not drive on the cruise control when it's slippery. Okay, so let's talk about the features we have in the trucks and the controls for it. They're going to look pretty similar, but let's start with the Scania. This is a differential lock. This locks the drive axle and makes sure that both wheels are spinning, even if we lose traction on one wheel. The button under turns off the traction control, allowing the wheels to keep driving even if we lose traction. This button here allows us to move pressure from the tag axle to the drive axle. And on a Scania, you can manually increase the pressure you are moving by holding the button. You can see on the dash exactly how much pressure you are moving. You can decrease the pressure again by holding the down button, or push it once and all pressure will return. On a Volvo, the differential lock button looks the same, but here we got an extra feature. You push it one step and you will enable a automatic setting. When you're going under 15 kilometers per hour, the differential will automatically lock if one wheel loses traction. And if you push it one step more, you will manually lock the differential. And here's the off button for the traction control. And on a Volvo, you're also able to move the pressure from the tag axle to the drive axle, but you cannot manually adjust how much pressure you are moving. On Volvo, it's simply on or off. And so the next thing is going to be bridges and overpasses. Even if it's not snow and ice, it might be 2 or 3 degrees Celsius plus. We might actually have ice on those places because the air will go under the road on a bridge or overpass, and it will freeze the surface on the road. So those places can be very, very slippery. And there's going to be a couple of tells where you actually can see on the surface of the road, and I'm going to show you this here. So while driving, you are going to be able to see the places where the cold air gets in under the road and form a denser layer of frost on the surface of the road. So when you're passing areas that looks like this, you can be extra cautious and be prepared that it might be slippery, and it might feel a bit overwhelming to sit and constantly look for these spots. But if you start to look for them a couple of times, then by time they will automatically, unconsciously just pop up in your vision without you even thinking about it. But one thing that we can't see is black ice. Instead, we're gonna have to expect it when it's 2 degrees or lower, and we're driving on mainly bridges and overpasses when it's wet, and when we are driving on forest roads like this. And the main thing is to try to predict it and expect it when we are not seeing it. Because when it's snow on the road, we know that it's slippery. But if we don't see anything, we trick ourselves into believing that it's no problem. Here's a tip on how to try to avoid to get stuck. When we are loading from a loading bay down in a pit, I want to make sure to put sand on the ground before backing down my trailer here. If there's no sandbox or you don't have chains with you, I'm actually gonna rethink backing down here, because we might gonna end up have to call the tow truck to get up from here. Now, another critical point is when we are making a 90-degree turn, or like in this case, going left in a roundabout. The truck is going to be very vulnerable when the trailer's movement is still forward and the truck is on its side. So, as always, slow and easy through a roundabout. This is a very high risk situation because this is a 90-degree turn and it's sloping downwards and outwards. I'm just going to be rolling through here with the brakes applied so that the trailer holds the truck back. Otherwise it will be extremely easy to jackknife here. And I've actually seen it happen to a couple of trucks. So another point is, if we are either going into a terminal or we are going to stop for a break. If we're going into a big yard where there's a lot of snow and ice packed, you don't want to go just straight in, park your car in the gate and jump out, because even if it's cold outside, your tires is going to be warm, and if you park your truck on the ice and snow with your warm tires, you're going to end up melting the snow, and you're going to melt little holes for all your tires, and you will sink down into. So what I do is, if I have been driving for a long time, so I know that my tire is going to be hot, I will ease down on the tempo for like the last kilometers to try to cool down the tire a little bit. And when I get into a big yard, I take an extra lap very slow to cool down the tires on the snow or the ice before going to the gate or to stop to have a break. So we try to cool down the tires so we don't sink down in the snow or the ice. So if you do get stuck in a hole, you don't want to just push the accelerator and dig yourself deeper. You're gonna want to try to wave yourself out from the hole by gently pushing the accelerator, releasing it, pushing it, so the truck sways back and forth, and hopefully making the hole a little bit longer, so you have a bit of length to get yourself into some speed to be able to get up from the hole. Okay, so the next point of the list is going to be not to stop when we're going up an increased slope. Here is the exit from a gas station, and up the slope we are coming up to an intersection, and there's traffic coming from both directions. So if we go up the slope and stop, there's a big chance that we are not going to be able to start again, because you won't get any traction on the tires, and you will just spin, and then you're going to have to reverse back down again, and that usually going to create a lot of chaos behind you with traffic, because usually people don't understand why you are turning on your reverse lights. So what we want to do in this situation is, before going up to the slope, to look up on the road to see, are there any traffic coming? If there are, we're gonna wait down here until we see that the road is clear or almost clear. Then we can slowly drive towards the increase and make sure that the intersection is clear to enter. So we are going to try to time it as the intersection gets clear by driving very slowly, as long as we don't come to a complete stop. So I'm gonna approach the slope very slowly now, and I'm gonna look up to see if there's any traffic. And I see a truck coming. We'll keep on rolling slowly. And now it looks that it's clear and I can enter the intersection. So as long as we keep moving and not coming to a complete stop, we are more likely to make it out of these situations and not get stuck. And an extra bonus tip, your cell phone, keep it in your pocket and not on the dashboard, because if you do get yourself into an accident, your phone will just fly away somewhere in the cabin and you won't be able to find it. And if you can't find it and you have to call the emergency, you won't be able to do that. So keep your phone in your pocket while driving during wintertime. And bonus tip number 2 is going to be keep some sort of extra meal and a phone charger with you, especially if you are going on a long trip, even if it's only for the day. A couple of years ago, I ended up sitting on the highway for 12 hours because it was a lot of snow and it was an accident further down the road and I wasn't able to go anywhere. So I ended up sitting there for 12 hours, and I was very happy to have my regular food and of course some extra meals, and I had my phone charger with me. So make sure to have yourself some extra food and a charger. So those were my tips for you guys. I hope you find them useful, and I would like to know all your tips and advice on how to work as a truck driver in the winter. So let's share our knowledge, guys. And I would very much appreciate if you guys would like to support me by subscribing to the channel and liking the video by hitting the thumbs up button. I hope you guys stay safe out on the roads, and if you see me, say hi. Otherwise, I see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.